I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Tiverton Town Council, Monday, December 9th, 2013. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk.
Councilor Ruda.
Present.
Councilor Shabbat. Present. Councilor Lambert.
Present.
Councilor Roderick.
Present.
Councilor Pelletier.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor DiMederos will be absent this evening, and Councilor Gerlach is not here at this time.
Okay, the consent agenda. Approval of amended minutes, regular council meeting November 12, 2013. Approval of minutes of regular council meeting November 25th, 2013. Councilor Roderick abstained, absent. Approval of executive session minutes November 25th, 2013. Councilor Roderick abstained, absent. Approval of council workshop minutes November 19th, 2013. Councilor Roderick abstained, absent. Receipt of minutes from the following boards and commissions: Fogland Beach Oversight Committee, Prevention Coalition. Correspondence received and filed, Prevention Coalition November newsletter. Town Clerk, extension of Bay Street moratorium to June 30th, 2014. Tom Ramatowski, Chairman, Fogland Beach Oversight Committee, request update of Chapter 54, Town Code regarding dogs in Fogland Conservation Area, referred to Town Solicitor. Kay Mishad, Administrative Officer, November Activities Report and Memorandum to Commissions, Water Districts, Departments, etc., seeking input on form-based code as follow-up to Joint Council Planning Board Workshop. Distribution of Department Head monthly reports for November. Any items to be removed? I'd like to remove CA5. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the remainder of the consent agenda with the exception of CA5.
Second.
We have motion and second. All those in favor? Okay, CA5. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom Ramatowski, Chairman of the Conservation Commission. If you look on the original write-in that I gave you under the section of the Town Code 54-32, I think it might be just a problem that our animal control officer does not interpret Part 4 of that under Fogland and Grinnell beaches to apply to the conservation area. They just interpret it to mean the beach side, which is basically the area south of the paved road. And what that means is that people can let dogs run loose and run wild on the north side, which is the conservation side. And we've been having damage to the vegetation on the dunes because of that. So we need to do something to make sure. I think the original intent was that leased animals out of season could be in all the areas, but right now the interpretation of it is that anything goes in the conservation area and leashed areas out of season on the beach. And would just like to request that we get a change here to make it very clear to anyone reading it that the leased animal provision off-season should apply to the entire property, all the town-owned land there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Tights?
I will talk with Mr. Ramatowski, and I'll talk to the police chief and the dog officer and see if we can come to an agreement.
Okay.
If not, we'll come back with an amendment if we need to.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, I will entertain a motion on CA5.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, the open public forum. I just want to, before I call these people up to speak, that people understand that during the open forum, you can speak, but the council cannot comment on it because it is not on our agenda. So pursuant to the open meeting law, we cannot comment because it is not before this council for discussion. But we're more than willing to listen to what you have to say. Okay? But we're going to begin with Barbara Pelletier.
Good evening. Hi, Barbara Pelletier. A number of weeks ago, I sent a memorandum to you about every so often we seem to have a disconnect in information, and maybe if we all knew more of what is going on, some things wouldn't be duplicated, and things would be smoother, like boards informing each other on what they're doing. And maybe we could post some of that online, that sometimes there's two different boards are working towards the same goal, but nobody knows. For instance, I had a situation where actually economic development didn't really know what the representation to that Discover Newport was. We straightened it out. But there are so many things sometimes you wonder about that are sort of hanging in the air. For instance, whatever happened to the pump-out boat? And some of that information would be good to know, just for information purposes. So I thought maybe we could post, like, current news in town or whatever on our website, and maybe when we have a new town manager, that could be part of their flow of information. Because I suppose you can dig through reports and that online, but it's very difficult if you're just looking for one or two items. The other thing I thought of was we should really pump ourselves up as a town. We're losing out on a number of things. For instance, Bristol now is building a hotel. We could have tagged into that business the spin-off from Roger Williams, so that that's something to be considered when we go for the crossing proposal. In the report that I submitted today, you'll find the Newport tourism flow, and that we have increased our restaurant tax, which is a good thing, so we should have people coming in and doing all kinds of eating and so forth. And we should think of unique events. Bristol and Newport are doing Christmas. We should think of some sort of festival that is unique to us, even if it's like agriculture promotion, tractor pulls, or anything like that, that will bring people in and make us unique. And we shouldn't sit on it. We should keep on going. We should maybe set timelines for anything that we do. Gosh, this proposal is out there. Let's do something about it and report back in 3 months or whatever the timeline is. And then actually, when we've got it done, put a great big check mark and we'll feel happy about having done it. And I think that might be enthusiasm generating. It's always good to know when you've done something. Just a thought. So when you get that report, please pay good attention to some of the ideas that are on there. For instance, we really don't utilize Fort Barton enough for the venue that we have, and maybe we can put some sort of binoculars, those pay-for binoculars or something on there. Not that we maintain them as a town, but we outsource things like that. Maybe we could entice as a project, a senior class project from the high school, to perhaps make a diorama of what happened at Fort Barton, put it under glass and have it there. I think it might be of great interest, and there are little things like that that we can ramp ourselves up with. That's all I have to say, and I know you can't comment.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Pelletier. Okay, and please excuse me if I read your name wrong, because I'm not very good in reading some people's handwriting. Shane General?
My name's Shane Gendro. It's my wife Lisa Gendro. We received letters in the mail on November 26th saying that Department of Public Works has suspended plow operations on Cynthia Avenue. We had all summer to do this, or all year to do this. You're gonna do it a month before, or really week before snow season starts. You're gonna tell us this. And other roads in town have been fixed. I know they've been fixed, and Cynthia Ave can't seem to get fixed for some reason. when it should be fixed. This was never brought in front of the town council, that these letters were sent out. How can they stop services on our road? We have streetlights on our road. It was paved at one time. The town signed for the telephone poles to go in.
Trash pickup.
We have trash pickup on our road. There's several things that don't make sense here. Something needs to be done with this. There's things from the state saying that once the lots are sold off and the town's maintained it for 20 years or more, that you can't stop services now. There's a lot of people from our road here, nobody's happy about it. We've come to several meetings about it. Evidently, there's not enough people for the street committee, so nothing's been done about it. And all of a sudden, we get a letter in the mail saying that our services are being taken away a week before it's gonna snow out. Is that fair? It needs to be put on the agenda, or something needs to be done with this. It should be resolved tonight, because it's gonna snow out tomorrow.
I don't know if any of you have taken a ride up Cynthia Avenue. It's probably the worst road in this town. It is absolutely unacceptable that we are being treated the way that we are. This is something that's been going on for a few years now. It's gone in front of a street committee, and then there wasn't enough people to have street committee meetings, and this has been prolonged and prolonged for way too long. You cannot drive on our street without the bottom of your car scraping because the road is so unlevel. We have potholes that go from one side of the road to the opposite. We have water now because of all the rain and the bad weather flowing into our yards. There's people on our street that have water flowing into their garages. It's unacceptable, and it's discrimination as far as I'm concerned. There are several other streets, and I can name a couple. Sordie Pond Avenue is not a town-accepted road. That road has had drainage put in. That road is gravelled.
And it's been maintained.
West DeMello Drive is a paved road by the town, and it is not town-accepted. How do you explain that? How can one get the services and another have it all now with the potential of it being removed? At this point, we know if we get 6 inches of snow tonight, we are not going to get plow services. I understand that you can't speak tonight, but we are at our wits' end.
We pay very high taxes in this town also, and it's not acceptable.
I will go to the state level if I have to.
They also let all those housing development go behind us, and they put their detention pond
Retention pond.
behind us, and the thing overflows, and we've had more water down there than we've ever had in the whole time I've ever been there. I've been there 17 years. I've never seen water like that.
When we purchased our home 17 years ago, the town, up until, and I don't know an
7 years
exact year,
ago.
but approximately 7 years ago, up until that point, the town trucks would come, they would fill in the potholes. It was never paved to perfection by any means, but it was maintained enough so that we could drive on it. Now it's pretty much undrivable. We have stacks of bills of car repairs we have had to make to our vehicles because they cannot drive on the road. This is discrimination. It's disgusting, it's unacceptable for the amount of taxes that we pay in this town. Mr. Bellucci had no right to send this letter without authorization from you, the town council members. How can that happen? We deserve an answer.
The town signed for the poles to be put in 1960. Now, why would they sign to put poles in on somebody else's land? That just came up with the schools being built, that the town was not to sign to put poles in because they didn't own the land. So that's I have the paperwork right here to show you that the town signed to put the poles in 1960. And the last two poles are on private property, and the town did not sign to put those poles in. We have streetlights on our road, as I said before. It's not acceptable, we're being discriminated on, and something needs to be done with this. And it needs to be done now.
My husband spoke to Mr. Bellucci last summer. We made a phone call to him, both of us, and asked what was going to be done with our road. And he stated to us that he could not do anything for us unless the right person told him to. Who is the right person? I put in a phone call to Ms. Shabbat on Wednesday, I believe. She did call me back that evening and stated she had no knowledge of this letter being sent and that she would follow up and get back to us. We did not hear from her, not because she chose to not call us back, but because she could not get a response from anyone. That is unacceptable. I think I deserve, and we deserve an explanation. I don't think it's fair that we should have to come here. I understand it's an open forum, but are we gonna have a plow up there tomorrow when we have 6 inches of snow, or are we gonna have to shovel ourselves out? We need an answer. Not next week, not the week after, tonight. Mr. Bellucci is in this
As I
room.
stated, we cannot answer right now. But we will, the council will.
This is unacceptable.
It's totally unacceptable. Pretty much the whole street's here tonight, and something needs to be done with it. I know you can't comment, but something needs to be commented on this. You can't give me a letter a week before it's gonna snow out and tell me we gotta worry about this ourselves. You should have did this over the summertime if this is what you're gonna do. There's nothing on my deed that says it's a private road that I have to do snow plowing on my own. The town always plowed the road. We had trees fall across the road. I called up, the town came down and cut them down.
Can I get a yes or no if anyone else is aware of this letter? I can't even get that.
Would you like to take a look at it?
I've seen it.
I can, actually, you know what? I'll read it. I'll read it so everyone can hear it. Dear Mr. Gendro, I am writing to inform you that unless the residents of Cynthia Ave fill and grade Cynthia Ave, so we the residents have to do it ourselves, to serviceable conditions before the snow, the Department of Public Works will suspend plow operations on Cynthia Avenue. The town's truck cannot handle the stress the condition of the road puts on it when plowing. No, that is not true. That is due to lack of maintenance of the truck. That is per Mr. Bellucci's words to us. Then he puts it in writing that it's due to the condition of our road.
May I make a comment on this? Do I have to go up there? Yeah.
No, you have to be on the list.
Then Shane, can you please make the comment that the town plat specifies that this road is a public right-of-way and not a private road? The Yeah. 2013 town plat specifies that this is a public right-of-way, not a private road. So can you please reiterate that, because I'm not on the list? The 2013 town plot says it's a public right-of-way, not a private road. We'd like to be on the agenda for a meeting on this.
Make a request to the town clerk.
Well, I
Mr.
think we
Gendro
can-
did contact me to be on the agenda, but I told him the next agenda was in January.
January 13th, correct? Is that what you told me? Or 14th, because Monday's a holiday.
Isn't it the 14th?
Yeah, it's a 14th.
I think it's the
Monday's a
14th, but I
holiday.
did inform Mr. Gendro that that would be the next time he'd be able to get on the agenda.
But by then, half the
This
snow will
agenda
be
was
fallen.
already posted.
January 13th.
It's January 13th? No, it's 14th. 13th's a holiday.
No, the 20th is the holiday.
Okay.
The 13th is the
So
meeting.
what is it? It says the 14th online, because I did look at it.
Mr. Gendron, that you be sure, well, you're going to come in and fill out a
Okay.
agenda request. So we'll make sure, and if you don't, I'll call you with it.
Who can we call to find out tomorrow if we're gonna have services for plowing?
I think the letter states it.
No, that's,
It's not acceptable. You can't give me a letter a week before it's gonna snow out, saying that you're gonna take my services away. Why didn't you do this over the summertime, when we had time to plan for this?
No, we can't comment at this time, Mr. General. Nicole Robinson, is that correct?
Hi, I'm from Cynthia Ave also. We're actually new to the area. We moved probably about 9 years ago. We bought our home. Nothing on my deed, never signed a private road affidavit when we moved in. We moved to Tiverton for a better life. I come from Newport. Better schools, better environment, better homes. I'm not getting it. I feel shafted. My husband and I pay our taxes. They're up to date, never behind. I have a young child in my house. What if there's an emergency? You can't get down my road. There would no way would a fire truck or an ambulance be able to get down my road if there was an emergency, and that's just not fair. So what happens if something happens to me or my family? Who's responsible? I can't take money out of my pocket. We're stretched to the max as it is. Can't take money out
You
of,
can read the bottom of that line.
okay, sorry. We can't afford to maintain that road on our own. We barely can afford to pay our mortgage and be a family in this economy. I just don't think it's fair. We did come to multiple meetings for a street committee. The street committee is now non-existent. We were told that the president of the DPW couldn't be on the street committee because it was a conflict of interest. So why was this decision made with that man on that committee, which no longer there is a committee? So to me, it's just irrelevant now. That letter should have never been sent to us. Like they said, they're concerned about snowplow. I drive a Toyota Corolla. There's no way I'm getting out of my driveway and getting to work back and forth every day if the street is not plowed. It's just not fair. And then now you're telling me I have to take money out of my pocket to call and have somebody plow my street and my driveway? Or my driveway is my responsibility, but the street, it's just unacceptable. All right, I can tell you this, in the meetings that we did come to in the past, we were told that nothing would be taken away from us until it did go to the town council. And that was that man back there, the director of the DPW, I'm not sure what his name is, but he did state that right at the meeting. And it's in the minutes. You can pull up the minutes, it's there. So to me, to get this letter is unacceptable. I would like it to go, I'll fill out a form all day to come and have it put on, the agenda. I'm really not sure what they want me to read. I'll read it for you. Nothing contained hereon shall prevent a public body other than a school committee from adding additional items to the agenda by a majority of vote of the members. Such additional items shall be informational purposes only and may not be voted on except where necessary to address an unexpected occurrence that requires immediate action to protect the public, or refer the matter to an appropriate committee or another body or official. So I guess they're asking if you can bring this up tonight. Because that's what it states right here in your your words, not mine.
And it has not been brought up, so.
What's that?
It hasn't been brought up, so.
Well, we're bringing
Is
it up
that
now.
something, Andy, that we can add to the agenda without, I don't know what action, or we can't take any action, but what can we do? What can we do within the parameters of our agenda as it's posted and this?
You can add it to the agenda, but all you can do is discuss it and refer it to someone. You cannot take action on it. You cannot, make a decision on it because it's not on the agenda.
Which if you took a ride down there tonight, it is a matter of, my daughter actually is
Excuse me,
50 I'm sorry.
please.
Just a moment, yeah.
Okay,
He's not the chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
but I'd like to finish my answer. And because the question about the public safety, something has to be added, it has to be something that's come up. It has to be an urgent and unanticipated action. So, I just want to say that. It's not something that just happens to be urgent. It has to be, you have to have a reason for why it wasn't on the agenda. It has to be something that's come up in the interim. It's not just that something, oh, we didn't have it on the agenda. And so, all right.
I think, and just, I'm speaking for myself, I think that the opportunity for us to at least converse amongst ourselves and answer some questions would be better than this process, which is kind of a one-way mirror type thing. So with that said, I would move that we add the item of, what is a good Cynthia Avenue service suspension to the agenda for discussion purposes.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay.
Okay.
All right. The only thing is that, again, legally, and I will refer to the town solicitor, we can only listen and discuss among ourselves. We cannot give you an answer.
Okay.
We can answer some sort of ministerial questions, but nothing terribly, this is,
Other than, I mean, there's issues that we cannot answer without.
yeah, I mean, there are things we don't know, and there are things that
Yeah.
we just don't have the information at the moment to answer, but
I just want to know why, I pay taxes. Why all of a sudden, I understand it's an issue of money. It's always an issue about money. But if it's so unpassable, but yet your garbage trucks come up and down, they fly up and down, actually. They don't go lightly. They're lucky they don't spill over. That's how fast they go. Why is it, I just don't get, like, for all these years, we've only been there for 9 years, and for only 2 years did we get the services. Where has, I understand I pay taxes for other issues in the town, but where is what I feel, the money that I've paid for this to maintain, where is it going? I just don't understand why it hasn't been done. And like they said, other roads in the town have been done. We're not asking for drainage, we're just asking for it to be paved. That's it. You don't need drainage, obviously, but now you do because it's so ridiculous that we're getting the water. We're just asking for something to be done and not to leave us with the responsibility of it, because it's just not fair. So I guess.
And that issue is the town has not accepted the road, so, I mean, and I'll only speak for myself, and I feel for you, I really do. I've been there, I've seen that road. But again, right now, legally, until that becomes an accepted road, in my opinion, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, but how come nothing, like, I don't have anything that states on my deed that it's not a town-accepted road.
Yeah.
And like he said, the plats for 2013 state that it's a town-accepted road, so.
Does it
I mean,
say-
that's sort of the.
Does it say public way, or does it say town-accepted road?
Sure, I don't have it. Public way.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a
Okay.
town-accepted road, correct?
The distinction I think that's important to make is that there are various facets of the town government. The town council is predominantly a policy-making body, and we certainly do make the decisions as to whether at the end of a subdivision, the roads are accepted or not, lights and things like that. But the Department of Public Works isn't answerable directly to the town council. So I think that's an important distinction to make, that the Public Works Director and the Public Works Department are a department of the town that are under the town administrator. So, we can't order any town body to do anything. The only purview we have is we set policy, and the town administrator is then tasked with executing that policy. So, as much as that is kind of a backing out of, we don't have as much authority as a
As you
lot of people think we do. And certainly, we're here to listen to you and here to help, resolve a lot of situations in town. It's not very easy to get an answer from this body in a very short amount of time, a night, as to something that goes on in the municipal side of the government. So that's just, it's not that we don't care, and it's not that we don't want to help solve problems. It's that we don't have the authority to tell Steve Berlucci to plow the road tomorrow. We just don't have that authority. So I don't want anybody thinking that this council can direct Steve Berlucci to the men's room. We can't do anything like that. It's really a matter of process and who has hierarchical authority. That's my
Mr.
two
Roderick,
cents.
make my position clear. I don't think the intent of that letter or the intent of the street committee has ever been to hurt anybody. With that said, that's not to say that something can't be done in what I think is a difficult situation for you folks. But just so you know where I'm coming from on this, I pushed for a streets committee, and I've been pushing to get these roads designated one way or the other. Now, you've told me what your problems are on your street. I don't have those problems on my street, but I want to tell you what my street is. There's maybe 10 houses. And somebody had to knock on my door from DPW to tell me what it was. And he said, well, the boss told me to come and tell you that we're not going to be, we don't plow, we don't plow. And he went on to explain to me that I was living on a paper, unimproved, acceptable, questionable, acceptable road. I thanked him, and as a result, I don't get my road plowed. There's a lot of streets like that. And what we're really trying to do, and that was the purpose of this street committee, is to straighten out the mess of those type of designations that we have all over town. But the intent has never been, and I'm sure it's not the intent of Mr. Bellucci, to hurt anybody.
I just have a quick question, if I may. Was the condition of that road that bad in the summertime as well?
Yes.
You couldn't open your windows, the dust alone from the dirt.
This could have been taken care of way back when. The condition was, 2 years ago it was this condition. When the street committee was in play, we were discussing the situation. And they said our services would not be taken away until it was brought in front of this town council. And then we
Have
got a
any
letter-
other letters went out besides, well, the one that we know?
We have 8 gravel streets. We did a couple of years ago discontinue on a few, the council approved that they were not town-accepted roads, and the services were disconnected so far on about 8 of them over the last, I want to say, 3 or 4 years that I've been involved in any of it. I don't think it's as easy as saying someone can just turn around and tell the DPW that they can, go down there and plow tomorrow if we had snow. That truck is not going to make it down that street.
It was pretty easy to tell us that you can't do it, though.
And that is the same type of letter that is going out to the other roads that they discontinue service. I'm not saying it should be or not, but I see the only
I kinda see
result to
there's
this
a
is
problem
that
with the
it's gonna
timing.
go before the council, and then the council is going to have to, it's one thing to say, get the street committee to bring these recommendations forward, but the last 3 or 4 streets we brought forward have not materialized in a decision from council. So it's a very difficult decision to do. This tends to be an extended driveway, no drainage under or anything else. I don't know what paving would do to it. It's not under my purview. I know it's under the DPW's, but it's not a matter of being able to say, yes, let's direct Mr. Bellucci to go down there and pave. That wouldn't make sense. The truck will be ruined. We don't have that kind of.
There was also money left in the budget this year for paving that never got used.
Mr. Bellucci's duties are to maintain town-owned property. It's in your charter.
every year up until
It's a lot more confusing, but I think the council needs the whole packet presented to them.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't
And,
think
it's
seeing the whole picture
unfortunate,
just.
and
And yes, I sympathize, and no, I don't have to worry about that on my road, and I've tried to be as patient as I could with all the meetings we've held and all the discussions I've had with everyone on there. But it's a lot more than just a directive to plow that street. I think the council needs the entire packet, and then let the council weigh their decision. But it's a very tough decision.
Can you tell me how Sawdy Pond Road got done? Sawdy Pond Avenue?
I can't tell you now.
That got all fixed and drainage put in and all graded and everything's fine. It got graded twice this year. That's a private road. Same road as Cynthia Avenue, same exact thing. That road got taken care of. But yet here we are on Cynthia Avenue with nothing.
Okay, no.
Say we have Anthony
Again,
Road and a lot of
I will tell you what, I will make a recommendation. We have a meeting on the,
13.
no, we have another, we have a workshop
on budget.
on the 19th.
On the 19th.
I won't be attending that one, but that's fine.
How do we get information that the street committee would otherwise have compiled and sent over absent that body?
You'll get that entire packet.
Thank you.
And what's the timetable on that? I apologize for being late.
Well,
Once.
our next scheduled meeting is January 13th.
13th.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Gendro did, you weren't here, but
Sorry.
Mr. Gendro did call me, and I think his wife did too.
Yep.
And, but at the time, the agenda was already done. We couldn't get it on here. The best we could say was the meeting in January, and that's what I informed Mr. Gendro.
The biggest part is that this letter got sent out in bad timing. If you were gonna send this letter out, you should have sent this letter out
August.
in August, so we would have had time to correct this problem. The way that you sent it is, we got no time, January, after winter's over. I think plowing should resume on this road until we get it straightened out.
And like, I'll just reiterate, I think we all appreciate your frustration, but you're asking a body that can't do that
But
to
who
do
sent
that.
this letter out? Who had the authorization to send this letter out?
Who is it signed by?
Steve Belushi and Nancy Mello. Well, no, it says Steve Belushi.
Nancy Mello's on there?
Well, it says.
It's
CC.
copied.
got your name on it.
You got the card.
CC.
Clerk.
Yeah. No, Steve. I'm going to make a suggestion to the council. We have a meeting scheduled on the 19th, which is a budget workshop. Make a request that we make that also a regular meeting,
Special meeting?
Special
yeah.
meeting.
Meeting?
and have this one agenda item on it only.
Certainly, that's your,
The council agreeable?
Yep.
That's
Do we need
fine.
to make a motion?
Yeah.
I will,
Just so you know, I won't be available that night.
Will you send someone in there
Will you send somebody in
instead?
your stead?
I will try. I don't know if anyone else is available that night either.
No, we'll need somebody.
So that's why I'm
Find
trying
someone.
to tell you before you
Send somebody.
Find someone.
Well, let us know immediately if you can't.
and you do know that I've already informed you at the last one, I would not be available
I
that
know.
night.
And Nancy's the one who's got, is
Yeah.
on this also.
It's okay. I'll send the whole packet to you in advance,
yep.
and I'll try to get members of the street committee, and
And
Counselor
obviously-
Shabbat is a liaison, so she's well aware of the whole packet as well.
And DPW should be
And we
available
will
for
request
questions.
DPW director
Mhm.
in attendance as well.
Okay.
All right.
I know we don't have meeting minutes from that last meeting. Is it possible to get a draft?
We don't have approved minutes, but there's draft minutes, because
Okay.
it hadn't met again.
Can I just speak 1 minute?
I'm sorry, your name?
Audrey Glotty.
Audrey, I'm sorry, not on the list.
It's an-
Oh,
It's on the agenda.
agenda, right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I volunteered for the street committee back in April. Because the last street committee was dissolved because it didn't follow town charter. We've yet to have a meeting because obviously we don't have enough people. But I just wanted to add what I have on Cynthia Avenue, so I've obviously done a lot of research, and I know I will have to excuse myself on this road, but I've lived on the road 37 years. My parents have lived on the road over 50 years. We've always had maintenance of the road, plowing of the road, streetlights, trash pickup. I did research and I went to Verizon and I have the petition that the town signed off saying this was a public way. They signed to have the telephone poles put in, and I do have copies of that if anybody needs to see it. So I've done a lot of research on this, and there's also a lot of other roads that are similar. And I have said right along that all these roads in one way are similar. They're unaccepted town roads. But the town, once it's on a map, it's an accepted road, not for maintenance purposes, but you've been doing it for over 50 years. So at some point in time, somebody accepted that liability of maintenance. And I don't think it's fair, and like I said, the night I got appointed, I was here for the residents. It's not fair to put that back on the residents. When you have for 50 years, I have meeting minutes going back to 1976, when the town council president said it is our duty and obligation to maintain these roads in a safe and appropriate manner. So at some point in time, somebody took on the responsibility to maintain these roads. And after 50 years, you're now all of a sudden going to say 1 week before? I don't think that's fair. And I signed up to volunteer my time on other roads and have heard nothing since April. You know, there's a lot of research, and love to have a workshop with the town council and share what I have so that you guys can see. You know, there's a lot of things, all the roads, Western Mellow, Sorty Pond, our road, they might be unaccepted town roads, but if you're going to do some of them, you need to do all of them. It's only right by the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, right now tentatively, I put it on December 19th as a special meeting, and I'm going to qualify that pending if we make sure that we have legal counsel there, okay? And Mr. Tights will let us know very quickly.
I'm sending an email now.
Okay. Because, like, again, we want to address this also, but, you know, we have to, unfortunately, we have rules and regulations that we must follow. And we're going to need legal counsel there, whether it's Mr. Tights or someone from his office, to answer some questions that we can't answer. And again, I understand, I've seen the road. I believe me, I've been down there.
It's gotten worse.
So, and I understand, you know, the issues you have. But again, as a council, okay, we cannot direct anyone to do something, you know? And again, I'll only speak for myself, and I'm sure the public safety officers that are here, that if it's a health and safety issue and somebody needs to get down your road, I'm sure they will get down your road. You know, so I wouldn't, as much as I would worry, I wouldn't worry, you know, if an ambulance or a fire truck or something has to get down there, because I'm sure they will make arrangements to get down there if they have to, you know. But as far as the rest of the issues on Cynthia Ave, again, hopefully we can address them all on the 19th and, you know, maybe come up with some answers and some solutions. Okay, but unfortunately, that's the best we can do at this point in time.
How will I know when if it's the 19th or it's the 13th or?
They'll post.
Yeah,
The
it's,
council has said it.
yeah, we said it, but as soon as we know for sure that we'll have, you know, legal counsel there, you know.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. Okay. Mike Normand, I don't know if you still wanted to speak?
Hi, my name's Mike Normand. I've been a resident for 23 years on Cynthia Ave. They have maintained the road all the time I was there, other than recently. You know, like you said, they said it wasn't a perfect road or anything like that, but it was easily passable, you know? And right now, my front yard's getting turned into a mud pit. My driveway, the mud comes out of the road every time it rains. People go through the puddle, splash it up, and it's like a silt. Like you'd find at the bottom of Nanaquacket Pond. You actually have to blast it with a power washer to get it off my tarred driveway that I paid good money to have tarred. You know, and it's going all through my dirt, dirt's going all through my yard, ruining my lawn, and I take pride in my property, you know? But my main thing is that I just want it to be fair for everybody in the town, not only us, anybody else that's in our predicament, you know, because to me, you can't do not even one road that's in my situation and not do all of them. It's just not right. It's just not right. That's singling out everybody else. I don't care who lives on a road or what the story might be or what anybody's gonna gripe about. It's just not a right thing to do. You know, and I would hope that the people that I have representing me would do something to fix that problem. You know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Can we get an answer why the letter was sent out not until November? Can we get that for the meeting as well?
Yeah, Steve will be at the meeting.
I
Okay.
do have minutes that the DPW director stated to the council that he was sending these letters out. That is in minutes.
Yeah.
Either-
Yeah, it was
either-
a few weeks
Not
ago.
the last meeting, I think the meeting before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he did make known that.
Yeah.
Could I just say one
I
more?
remember it saying they're gonna stop services, but.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Unpassable roads.
Unpassable roads, yes. Yep.
Private roads that
Yeah.
are not passable.
I see Mr. Belucci's in the building now. Could we ask him why these letters were sent out in
I will hold that till the 19th.
the 19th?
Yep, thank you. Okay, public hearings and public presentations. Public hearing on proposed ordinance amendment, Appendix C, sewers and sewage disposal, Article 9, on-site wastewater management, Section 18-9.63, education program and phase implementation.
Good evening, I'm John Lincourt, the superintendent here in town. My apologies, Mr. Kendricks was called away to New York.
John, could you wait a minute just till the din dies down so we can hear?
Okay, Jeff Stearns, one of our commission members, and Chris Nearpass is also here to support us. Basically, this is a very, very quick and easy request. The original ordinance had set specific dates for each of the areas, and that was placed, back in early 2000s when they put the ordinance together. Things have changed. We need to have the flexibility to look at other areas of town before Non-Quit Pond, and so therefore we asked to take just the names off. That's really all it is.
The dates?
Dates? Removing the
Yeah, the
dates and
dates, yeah.
keeping, so that it's sort of as,
Right,
right now.
as needed, right.
And that essentially only impacts what is
Really
categorized as the
impacts
remainder
the
of
non-quit,
town.
yeah, the non-quit pond watershed, which I have to admit, we are a bit late in getting to that area. But we do have areas in the north end of town that we do have to look at because of stormwater too, and because of our facilities plan, what our facilities plan recommendations were. So,
Mr., do you have another question?
I was just going to ask if we had pushed the date for Non-Quit Pond, because here it says it's July 1st, 20 of last year.
That's being
well,
replaced.
yeah,
I know.
Bottom is going to be removed.
I appreciate that, but I just thought I heard you say that this will impact only Non-Quit Pond and then the remainder of town. We should have been already in the timeline for Non-Quit Pond. Am I missing something?
yeah, as I said earlier, we are late getting to Non-Quit Pond.
Okay.
We found that it was a lot, it took a lot more time to inspect the areas than the original ordinance had figured it would be.
I just have a quick question. Mr. Lincourt, if you were to estimate the percent complete of each one of those areas within town as far as the inspections are concerned?
Stafford Pond's like 99.9% complete. Nanaquacket Pond is probably about 80% complete. Secana Waterfront, I would say probably about 50%.
And that's for the initial inspection?
That's for the
only?
initial inspections, yes.
And if you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a kind of a second phase to that? If someone does replace the system, is there a secondary inspection there?
Once they're in the inspection and maintenance program, the inspector will set a inspection period for that particular household.
Okay.
So the first maintenance is what we're talking about here. The follow-up inspections that may occur, depending upon if it's a house that's heavily using their septic system, maybe 2 years out, or a larger house with a couple living in it that maybe 5 years out. And of course, if it's found to be a cesspool that is functioning, those have to be inspected every other year also, and they have to be pumped every year.
And are we on target with all of that kind of secondary work there?
That is pretty much on target. The pumpers that we have are pretty good at notifying their customers that, okay, it's time to pump out. And a lot of the inspectors are also pumpers, so.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a date as to when all these first inspections need to be done?
According to the original ordinance, it said that the remainder of town was supposed to be started in 2014. However, it does not give an end date. It doesn't give an end date for any of these, actually. It just said that each of these areas needed to be started by a certain date.
So basically, you're trying to get flexibility in scheduling the rest of the town as well as the Nonquick Pond area.
That is correct.
The only other comment I have is, this basically puts the schedule under the Wastewater Management Commission, administered by Mr. Lincourt as the wastewater superintendent. The schedule and its adequacy to meet current needs will be reviewed by the Wastewater Management Commission annually. I think the only thing I would add to that is to report back to the town council on an annual basis.
As part of our annual report to the town council,
Right. As to the
we will
progress.
include a report on the on-site program. Is that what
Yes.
you're, good.
Just so that we have, an idea of the progress that's being made.
Mr. Chabot, would you be open to a semi-annual report out every 6 months? Because I'm trying to...
This is the schedule, so the schedule is going to be reviewed annually, unless we want to change that to the schedule will be reviewed semi-annually. I think reporting to us, I think the report should be at least annually, and as commissions are scheduled to report to the town council by policy, I believe.
Yep.
Certainly, we can discuss that if you think it's
I
worthwhile to do it more often.
I would hate to just lose the momentum on this, and annually just feels a little...
A lot can happen in a year.
A lot could, or a lot could not happen in a year, and I think that's just some of my concern. Certainly don't want to make any kind of undue administrative burden on anyone, it's just trying to keep a pulse on this, that's all.
Actually, if anything, we're hoping to speed up the process by having this flexibility to deal with all the problems we're having with the Mount Hope Bay pollution and with the updated facilities plan. This will be able to have us tackle the problem areas in the north end quicker. So we actually don't anticipate this slowing it down at all, but rather speeding up the process.
Anything else from the council? Okay, anything from the public? Anything from the public? Anything from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Okay, anything else from the council wish to discuss?
Just one quick question, Mr. President. What are the inherent risks in kind of drawing this out? I understand Mr. Nearpass is saying that it should be able to speed things up, but I guess I just want to make sure that I understand the risks of not bringing all of this to closure.
We rely very heavily in town on, especially in the south end of town, on groundwater for drinking water. It was the original intent of the drafters of the original ordinance to preserve that groundwater and the well water below that. And by pushing things out, it could potentially affect people in the south end of town that aren't watching their septic systems and have them overflow into a watershed. We're not.
But
we're not
that's
looking-
beyond your control. I mean, that's a
beyond- yeah,
homeowner
that's correct.
responsibility.
The big plus of this program is it gets people thinking about what's in their backyard and looking at their septic systems on a more regular basis so that we can catch the failures before they become catastrophic failures. And so, I mean, that's my answer to that one.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I just remembered one thing. In the new language, it says, as a minimum, the following areas shall be included in the schedule. In the original ordinance, it said 5 phased areas as shown in the on-site wastewater management implementation plan. Was there a reason why you took out as shown on-site wastewater management implementation plan? Because I would have just put in is that at a minimum? The following areas as shown on the on-site wastewater management implementation plan shall be included in the schedule.
I can't answer that. You remember?
It's just that.
Yeah, the original wording was there, yeah.
Referring
Don't get
to,
left out.
and it's referring to a map, and the revised one doesn't refer to that map. So maybe if you could just modify that to the following areas as shown on the on-site wastewater management implementation map, comma, shall be included in the schedule. Just to refer it back to the original map.
Well, one of the drawbacks of the original map is that it really, it only deals with the watershed areas, and it groups the whole rest of the town in one grouping. And that's one of the things we want to, we want to be able to deal with little areas within the rest of the town.
Like, for instance, on E, remainder of town, we'd like to look at the Robert Gray area, Garden Heights, Bay Street area, just to take a look at those cesspools or septic systems there, just to see what data we have. And right now, we can't do that. We can't start those inspections until July 1st of 2014. So the reason why we want to do it this way is so we have that flexibility at the beginning of the year to select, to make those, to set goals and to select the areas that we want to look at. and be consistent with the facilities plan that we just put together. So that's why we kind of want to make it, not really have dates and flexibility there.
If I can address that, I think we'll have that ability. Councilor Chabot just wants to make sure these 5 zones are included, but we could also have subsets of those neighborhoods in addition to those 5 areas, and it would give us the flexibility to do it. I think that without the dates, that would be allowed.
Right, Mr. President. Don't you need those inspections if you're going to proceed with the idea of going to a sewer district?
Exactly, and that's why we
Isn't
want to
this
get
the
rid of the
missing part?
timetable, so we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? All right, can I make a suggestion? It's only my opinion that all these corrections be made and this be brought back to the council at our next scheduled meeting for approval?
We can do that.
All in agreement?
What corrections are we talking about? The reference to the map?
Reference to the map, adding report to the town council annually also of the on-site progress. And then
Can I ask a question? Is that reporting everything that we're doing, or just the reporting of the inspections? Because there's a lot of other things that we do as a commission.
I think it's an in general report. I mean, it should be part of your annual report anyway to the
Yeah,
town.
we're putting one together.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
But did you want a semi-annual report? That you want 2?
No, right now, we're
No.
still talking annually.
Okay.
So it would be part of your annual report.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that this information is also included in that annual
Oh,
report.
okay.
So, you just want to add that language,
Yeah.
that sentence there, and reported annually to the council, where it says, shall be reviewed by them annually?
Right, and as shown on the on-site wastewater management implementation map, and other stuff. I'm not sure if Nancy has all the changes, that's why I wanted to make sure that if we...
It's only the 2. We're going to use that wording from the original on the implementation map, and then we're going to add that we want to report.
Right.
So
I mean,
I
that's-
think I'm okay with the
I just want to make sure you had it all, so if not, other than that, it's okay.
Got the tape.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just a matter of, like you gave us a report right now that said, 99% of the Stafford Pond watershed has been completed. It's as simple as that, It could be just a graph saying how many properties, how many have been inspected, how many are yet to do. And should be annual. So by putting it in the ordinance, it'll be going forward.
Yep.
Next year and the year after, until it's all completed.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then, if there's no other discussion, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the ordinance amendment, Appendix C, sewer and sewage disposal, Article, is that? 9, on-site wastewater management, 18
18-9.
18-963, education and program phased implementation, as amended by the council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Okay, motion's passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, the town council, sitting as the Board of Licensing, advertised public hearing. Hess Gas Station, number 39, 2011, 1308 Crandall Road, request to expand victualling license to operate between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., 24 hours, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Is there anyone here from Hess? Hi, please tell us who you are and,
Lori Crapo, I'm the general manager for the Hess. Just want to extend the hours of operation, 'cause there's really nothing else in town. So just for convenience of town members, that's it.
Okay, this being a public hearing, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Chief?
Other chief?
The other chief?
I think you have a lot of nerve breaking me, but
I just wrote that down. Sleeping police chief.
Put that on the, my next evaluation, please. I'm sorry, please.
Okay, has gas stations before us requesting to be open 24 hours?
The only thing that may concern me would be and if there are any residential areas, I don't believe there are, that lights would travel past the perimeter of the property and keep other people's residents illuminated, but I don't think there are any houses that are across the street from it.
No, it's Dunkin' Donuts.
I don't think we'd have a problem with that. I would like the chance to review it after a while. If I hate to have someone hire people and puts people in that position. I'd like to discuss it with the lady and see if we could just find out the whole picture and see what we're looking to do, and then get back to you in a short time, if that would be okay. I think I'd be better prepared. Give you a better evaluation.
Okay.
Please.
I was just going to ask if we had any other 24-hour establishment in town. Nothing really comes to mind here, but.
Okay. I'll just ask a question. How many people do you think you're going to get between 2 and 6?
Honestly, we do have a lot of people who, every once in a while will stay, have an extra person there just for cleaning, and we do have quite a few people trying to get inside, to get gas and cigarettes, because there's nothing really in the area, so that's all.
Mr. Bellucci?
Under dire circumstances, if we lose all electricity and all backup, we would surely love to have someone that's open 24 hours a day to pump our gas and diesel fuel. So there'd be an emergency source that we could use.
What if the whole town was without power?
Big pun?
You don't have diesel.
Who knows?
We don't have
But in any
diesel.
case, it's another source for us, that's all. And especially now where we've combined our tanks at the DPW, there's not a...
They don't have diesel.
There's
We don't
no
have
diesel at the house.
Okay. Well, the gas would help.
Nix that idea.
And they're also a major player in our pay-as-you-throw program as a bag vendor. And we really appreciate their help in that part of the town.
Nancy and Andy, there's nothing prohibiting a 24-hour operation. We've just never granted one. Is that, what's that?
No, they can be open on the gas anyway, but the victualling
You
license...
mean they can be open on the gas
They could sell the
anyway?
gasoline
Okay.
without selling food. But in order to sell the food, they need this victualling license.
Oh, okay.
24 hours.
And yes, there is something that prohibits it. A normal victualling license, it doesn't cover those hours from 2 to 6, and that's why they have to come before you in the public hearing. And actually, is related to the chief. If there were people who had concerns about it, we would hopefully expect them to come and show up if there was issues. Likewise, this will be an annual renewal. So if there are problems that come up, people will be here in November to tell you they're having problems with it in the middle of the night.
So you're saying they could be open 24 hours to sell gasoline?
That's correct.
Currently, without any?
Yes.
Okay. But you close at 2, right?
Oh, we close
No.
at midnight.
Midnight, oh, okay. So their request is from 2 to 6.
Right, because that's for the victualling license, they
They're
could stay...
automatically
They
able to go
could stay till 2 if they
Okay.
wanted to. It's only those hours between 2 and 6 that...
You can't eat.
Back when the legislature enacted this, when we had things like oyster houses and cook shops and oyster cellars, this is what the legislature said. From 2 to 6, you've got to come back to the council and have a public hearing.
Because presumably nothing good happens after 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I don't know.
Sound like
You
my
think about it,
grandmother.
We get a lot of complaint, we have noise ordinances now which, provide 12 hours of relief and things like that. They're pretty much only, I guess, giving you 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep here.
So it sounded like we needed to continue this until the next meeting to allow the chief to...
Is that okay with your timeline?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I mean, I have no objections to this.
I just feel that the chief
Yeah.
should just
Yeah.
be able to gather some information if he's awake.
Okay.
I guess the only concern I have, it also would probably involve the chief's input, would be the safety of the employee.
Yes.
Because we did have, the holdup at a gas station in town, that was during the day.
Yeah.
So I would just be nervous about the employee safety during those hours,
Our plan is to...
without giving any details away, of course.
Yeah, we do plan on putting a box and locking the door and doing everything through a window. between probably 11 and 6 a.m., so.
All right, so if you don't have an issue, then we will continue this to our next scheduled meeting, which would be January 13th.
Sure.
Okay?
All right,
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, nothing under D, E, F, financial business. Interim Town Administrator Nancy Mello. Huh? We don't need a motion to continue that, do we?
Actually, you should, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have motion?
Good catch, Joe, we should. We're
Yeah,
public hearings.
Well, I figured if I didn't close it, it would remain open.
Well, you should have a
Yeah,
motion to
yeah,
continue it to
yeah.
January 3rd.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
That way we don't have to advertise it again.
Yep.
Thank
Good
you.
catch, John.
So I get the big bucks.
I don't think we can pay big bucks.
Okay, this item is on Dave Robert, the tax assessor. I know the procedure is to usually do the performance evaluation first and the contract on the next week, or the salary increase on the next. This is the second year of his contract. I am not in a position to do a performance evaluation on him. However, I did request that he try to elaborate on the goals that he completed and on the goals that he is setting for the next year, and we will have to keep the new town administrator aware of this. But I'm recommending that the salary increase, the 2% that seems to be where the increases have been going. And in the case of Mr. Robert, when he received his contract last December, he had already in July received $1,000 on his longevity. So he was never given the adjustment for the longevity when his contract started in December, and was told he would get it on this. The new contract does not have any mention of longevity. So we have taken, Mr. Gonzo has taken that out of both the senior senate director and the tax assessor. So that would bring that salary increase to $68,013. That's my recommendation.
Okay. Any discussion from the council?
I would be curious if Mr. Robert felt that his new goals were achievable, kind of given current resources.
Good evening. Yes, I do. Although this next coming year is going to be quite active with the revaluation, and I do have a little concern about staffing, especially this year. The tax collection office had an extended illness, so there was some staff issues, but hopefully that's behind us, and I do look forward to a productive 2014. And in the goals that I did list down, some of those are already in motion anyways, so it's just an ongoing thing. The big obvious one that you will see on the notation is the revaluation, and I will be coming before the town council in the January meeting with the RFP to go out to bid for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the council? Okay, I will entertain a motion regarding the salary increase for the tax assessor, Mr. David Roberts, in the amount of 2%, including an adjustment, one-time adjustment for a longevity of $1,300, bringing his annual to $68,013. And
So
this
moved.
is year 2 of a 3-year contract.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, Industrial Park.
Mr. President, do you want me to?
Yes.
Explain?
I know what it is, but the public
Right.
probably doesn't.
This is the result, going back to,
July 30th, 2008.
well, it goes back well before then. It actually goes back to around 2003 or so. It predates me, when the town council at that time entered into an agreement, a listing agreement with Giroux Realty, Paul Giroux, to sell lots in the industrial park, to sell the industrial park. And Mr. Giroux apparently actually had procured a couple of buyers for a couple of the properties. And then at that time was when the people came before who put the park under option, the entire property, that put the park under option for several years, trying to sell it as one entity. They were going to develop one thing at that point, so the council at that point told Mr. Giroux they were canceling all these 3 potential buyers that were there because they wanted to sell it all as one. And the property was under agreement for a long time by a single developer. There were various proposals. I think that's probably when you and Mr. Roderick joined the council. We were looking at some sole operators, buyers for the whole council, the park at that time. And in order to clean it up, we basically came to a settlement with Mr. Giroux that he was entitled to something. He had procured buyers, and we agreed mutually on this settlement, which called for, as part of it, that he would be paid $10,000 upon the sale of the first lot, or upon December 31st, 2013, 5 years hence, thinking that was a long way off. And it does include interest at 5%, although it's simple interest, it's not compounded. So the note is coming due. We haven't sold a lot. Looked like we were headed that way a couple of times, but we haven't sold anything in the industrial park, and the note is now coming due.
My only question is, I don't think this was in the budget.
I was
just gonna
gonna
ask the
say,
same
I was going to ask the interim town
It
administrator.
wasn't. It was
what the
always going to
funds-
be paid out of the proceeds from when that first lot was sold. I think, I think it could be reimbursed still in the future, whatever account you were going to take it out of, from when you do eventually sell something from the industrial park. We have RFPs out now for the whole industrial park. We might, who knows, we might have it sold by the end of this fiscal year.
I don't think we got any offers.
No.
Is it more than 10,000?
All right. Well, anyway, that's another discussion
Yes,
for
it
another
is.
night. But anyway, I mean, we do have this agreement that we agreed. It's, other than the fact of not having the money in the budget specifically, it's not a lot of money, and it's part of our legal obligation that we did as far as settling this dispute at the time.
So we
The
could take it
claim
out of
was
the legal
for-
budget.
Pardon me?
We could take it out of the legal budget.
Well, generally not. Generally not on something like that. This is...
I
legal
know.
matter. I'm sorry.
Legal contract.
Well, that says everything.
Okay. Obviously, we are legally bound to pay this. The only thing I ask is that the interim town administrator search the accounts to see where we can draw.
Perhaps you
it's
could
due-
authorize the interim town administrator to pull it from one or more accounts. That may be a solution as well.
And I'll run them by the council president a bit, because this has to be paid
Yeah,
by
the
December
31st, yeah.
31st.
So I'll entertain a motion that we
It's agreeable.
request the interim town administrator to pool the accounts and see where they will come from so that we can pay this promissory note.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Make sure it's not paving.
Pennies.
So does that authorize this bill to be paid, or do we need a separate motion for that?
I think No, I think you just need to authorize the money, and then the administrator has the authority to pay the bill.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Under new business, Sandy Woods Trust LLC requests acceptance by the town of Roosevelt Drive and a portion of Cornell Road, extension of northern end, and authorization to release surety, and with the planning board recommendation. Just what I want to talk about, a road acceptance.
They're not the best timing.
Yeah.
Jay Lynch from the law firm of Morford, O'Donnell, Lynch in Middletown on behalf of Sandy Woods LLC. And this is Mr. Osterguy to my right from Sandy Woods LLC.
Just speak into the microphone. Sure.
We're here before you this evening just for a formal acceptance of the two roadways in question. Both of these roadways have been before the planning board. The improvements have been reviewed and approved. We're asking the town to formally accept these and then release the surety that is in place for these roadways.
I haven't been up this end. What is the current condition of the northern part of Cornell Road?
The part that's highlighted there, this was a gravel road, and we upgraded it to meet town standards. It's been inspected by the town's public works and the town's engineering consultant, and we put in drainage as well as the paving and all the requirements.
Thank you.
Both coats were put on, right?
I'm sorry?
Both coats, the
Yes.
secondary coat was put on also?
Yep.
Okay. And then also on the Roosevelt Avenue portion?
Right, and that Roosevelt, that serves the recreational field and the new library as well.
Yep. Okay. And then Muse Way will be continued to be maintained by Sandy Woods?
As well as all the other interior private roads as well.
Okay. Anything else from the council?
No, I mean, we get the recommendation from the planning board, right? It's, and DPW.
Yeah, just an unfortunate night to do it.
It's really too bad that the people who were from Cynthia Avenue are not still here to see, because this is the way it should be done, in fact, and clearly delineated between what's the idea of a public road that's still privately maintained, and the road which is accepted for maintenance as well.
Which is our
based on-
process now.
Yes. That's
It
correct.
wasn't always the case.
So, in kind of to follow up with that, Andy, who paid for, did Sandy Woods
They
pay
paid.
for all of
They
this?
made a lot of money for it.
Okay.
And they even did, we've had several places where we had trouble where the roads were paved, but we never got the final as-built plans. And they've even provided that, which they're required to do. Obviously, as indicated, the town has not always been as strict in that regard.
And these as-built match what was built? Wait, that's not what I meant to say. These plans match what was built? Because we've had plans submitted that...
I don't know that that's what we rely on Commonwealth Engineers and Steve Berlucci and our planner to certify that they are correct and their recommendations. Do I know that they're correct? No. I'm relying on their recommendations, including the planning board chairman saying that they have been submitted.
Steve, to the best of your knowledge, have they fulfilled all the requirements for those roads
Yes, they
according to plan?
Yeah, and we got
these
the
are how
as-built
they're-
plans,
these
and
are
they
what-
look correct,
okay.
and I'm recommending acceptance of both of them.
I'm just saying, because we've gone down this road where we've accepted roads, and then months later, we found out, oh, wait, they put a cul-de-sac in that wasn't on the plan. I just wanted to make sure we're not going to set us up. This is pretty straightforward, straight lines. And
Yeah, there
that's
aren't,
good.
and there are no houses built on it.
No.
Today.
No, yeah.
All right, any other questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the improvements to Cornell Road and accept Roosevelt Avenue from Booger Marsh Road south to the cul-de-sac at Muse Way and release the surety.
Okay, we have a motion
Second, I'm sorry.
And a second. Any further discussion? Seeing all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Have a nice evening.
Tom Ramatowski.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This item that you have before you is a 19-year-old agreement apparently between the town and the DEM regarding our boat launch down at Fogland, and the agreement expires in approximately 1 year. The purpose of bringing it up today is just to bring it to your attention so that people can begin to think about what we need to do, if anything, if we'd like to try to extend it by talking to DEM, if we're happy just to let it go. If you read through it, there were some provisions that they would provide materials to us for free to maintain it as long as we did the work. And as a side to that, we were providing basically free parking to anybody who used the boat ramp, regardless if they were a town resident or a state resident even, and things like that. All of that will go away once this agreement expires in approximately a year. And if we did decide that we had some stuff to do there and there may be some repairs we might want to do, we basically got one more season to go under the existing agreement. I did talk to Steve Berlucci this morning, or this afternoon, and he indicated that he had a discussion with DEM, and they may not have the money or the interest to extend this further into the future, which is yet again another reason maybe to make sure we get what we need now under the agreement if there are some things that we need. It's not due right away. There's still time to look at this, of course, during the winter, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention as to, whether or not there's, what action does the town want to take on this?
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a recommendation as well that we forward this on to the Harbor Commission, since time apparently is not of the essence at this point. Forward it to the Harbor Commission for their comments and recommendations as well.
And then to return it back to the council.
And I assume at some point your group will also have a recommendation for us.
Right, I guess we still have to find out for sure whether DEM would even entertain an extension.
Right.
Because they may not have the money anymore. If there was a specific program that paid for this in the past, it might be a moot point, but it's worthwhile just to think about.
Yeah.
Tom, are you able to elaborate at all on the pros and cons of whether we, seek to renew or sever?
Well, I don't see there's anything in this case really negative for the town, in that they agreed to provide some materials, we would do the labor and maintain it. This is also what brings up that point about people parking who use the boat ramp for free at Fogland. This is the agreement that established that, and presumably that would go away if it expired. They're not really parking for free. They have to be charged the same price that we charge town residents, which happens to be free, under this agreement. But if this agreement goes, we could then, there might be a slight bump up in parking fees and such, because there'd be no reason now for those people to be under the agreement and get to park for free if they're using the boat ramp. So it's one of those things where you have to weigh, how much material do we get from them if we were to get any more in the future versus what we might get from the parking situation.
Okay. So I would assume that once the Harbor Commission gets it and your group looks at it also, then they will get back to the council and, based on recommendations, we can make a decision on whether or not to ask. Well, you're going to find out if the state is interested in renewing.
Right. It's the same group we're working with Stafford Pond, so we'll just leave that at that, but.
Do we need a formal motion to just forward this on for some comment and recommendation by the Harbor Commission, or that can be done informally? Perhaps what you can do is just call up Mr. Cox, let him know that this is an item on the agenda.
Chris
is it? Oh, okay, great. Okay.
Or we can maybe I could go, or a group of us can go to their meeting, and we can just discuss it and see what, I said, there's still time to operate here, because nothing will be done during the winter, of course. But this summer would be our last chance to work on the materials for free, to the extent they're willing to give it to us.
All right.
All right, understood.
So then, based on your meetings, you'll come back with the council, from the Harbor Commission and from the Fogland Oversight Committee, and we'll go from there. Okay, thank you, Tom.
Great.
Thanks.
Chris? Oh, Chris, do you want to say something?
No, I'm in the next one, too, I think.
No, Chris, did you want to say something?
I would, actually.
Sure, okay.
I'm Chris Clarendon. I'm here on behalf of the Harbor Commission, specifically for this one particular item on the agenda tonight. The Harbor Commission is aware of this issue. I believe most of the members of the Harbor Commission, including the chairman, are aware of the timeline. Tom brings up a good point in that the DEM may not have the wherewithal to help the town improve the boat ramp. The boat ramp, as it exists now, is, I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong here, but somewhat of a continuous headache to keep it opened and running as far as the concrete riprap that's been put down continuously loses substrate just about every major weather event. In addition, the boat ramp is unusable for almost all vessels at about low tide and 2 hours in front and 2 hours behind. I know because I use this boat ramp continuously. I'm down there a lot, so I have firsthand knowledge of it. However, that problem may be alleviated by sea level rise, which is a real issue. So the use of the boat ramp may or may not continue for most people vessels that use it. Most vessels that use it are very small, say under 20 feet. Most have no problem from about mid-tide to high tide. However, the boat ramp is deteriorating. Would you concur with that? So the DEM may decide to wash their hands of it because they don't want to deal with this particular resource anymore. So these are items that I thought that the council should know about. My recommendation as far as personally, and I'll also reiterate this to the Harbor Commission, is that if the Rhode Island DEM decides not to continue to help us with the boat ramp, and by the way, whatever DEM decides, I believe it has to be passed by CRMC, who is the ultimate authority here. Just so everybody in the town council knows that CRMC is the ultimate authority. The council and the town cannot override CRMC's thumbs up or thumbs down on whatever happens down there. I just want to make sure that you all understand that they are the ultimate authority. So to do any work at the boat ramp, to make it a completely functional boat ramp in every sense of the word, in other words, larger vessels, significant work would need to be done. Number one, it would need to be dredged, because as a boat ramp, it does not operate for half of the time, basically low tide and 3 hours ahead, 3 hours behind. So it would need to be dredged, and then it would also need to be permanently, the concrete and steel reinforced concrete riprap that exists there would need to be permanently reinforced to the point of some sort of relative permanence, which is, like I say, relative at this point. That's a major undertaking that would involve a great deal of materials, I think, and time and money. So this is, in my opinion, based on what I know about boat ramps, and I've been on the saltwater all my life, so I know what they look like, how they operate, how they function in context of where they are. This boat ramp is somewhat exposed, as opposed to the riverside boat ramps and other boat ramps around. So these are all issues that will come up in a relatively short period of time if we only have 1 year to get funding for this. So these are all issues that the council should be made aware of, that the Harbor Commission and the Fogland Beach Oversight Committee, of which I'm also a member, are already aware of. So I just thought I would sort of lend you some context to this issue so that you could decide when DEM gets back to us, one way or another, how you'd like to proceed. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, Steve.
Could I just ask that the questions be sent to the recreation also, because the boat ramp may be in there? realm. I really don't know where the boat ramp lies. It could be conservation, but usually
being in
conservation
farmland,
doesn't
yeah.
have a road down the middle, so I don't know. But I don't know if recreation could comment on it also.
We'll send it around.
Anyone of interest? All right, Tom? Oops, sorry.
So if this needs major work,
We would have to decide whether or not we want to expend the funds to do the major work.
and that major work would need to be done after December 2014, which would put it in the 14-15 budget, the one we're working on now.
Right.
Just to put it in context. So,
It could be,
And that assumes zero funding from the DEM.
Right, but, I mean, but it could,
it could be,
it could be in 15, 16.
or it could be in the term of this agreement.
Yeah, if they're willing to pay.
Right, well, if they're willing to provide any.
Yeah, so that's what we have to find out.
Could we ask that when it does come back, that there's at least even a high-level assessment of potential repair costs?
Well, I think Tom is going to find out, first of all, if DEM will be funding anything up until the end of this contract, this agreement. So once we know that, then we will know where we stand.
Richard Hart, I was involved with the ramp. I was on the on the council at the time. That was a reconstruction of the boat ramp. We had to go through CLMC, Army Corps of Engineers, as well as, and it was primarily the work done through the Harbor Management Committee. There was supposed to be a parking area, but when we got across the road into the beach area, it got into many committees and that fell apart. The DEM, we did in-work, I kept record of all our times, meetings, telephones, and everything else, and it didn't cost the town anything as far as outlay and money. There was nothing out of budgeted at all. The highway department, we got down there on a noon tide and were able to put it in 2 days. The DEM, or the Fish and Wildlife, they brought the slabs over from Kingston. They paid for those. They brought them over. We unloaded them, and we bolted them together on a low tide. That was the way it was constructed.
Thank you, Mr.
And I
Hart.
got the plans and so forth. They were prepared by Will Wetland, and he was an engineer, so we didn't even have to have engineering.
Thank you.
It was all-
thank you.
Okay, Tom, update the council regarding town's drinking water reservoir ordinance, an update on Stafford Pond issues relating to preserving the pond's water quality.
Yes, this is in response to a requirement in Chapter 15 of the Town Code, actually Chapter 15-5, where there is a report required by the Conservation Commission to address several items that are listed there. Just a little bit of history, we did have a meeting with the residents on November 7th to discuss the various issues related to the pond. As you know, we have been on this ongoing issue with RIDEM about the boat tournaments, but there are other things that go on the pond that may or may not be helpful to maintaining water quality. And so we opened a dialogue with the residents that attended the meeting. We went over some of the scientific findings that we have there about the high levels of phosphate in the water, which is the major thing that causes the algal blooms that is troubling the water districts in their water quality. We had a discussion of a variety of the things. We had people talk about the seaplane issue, and we found that there's no one currently using the pond for seaplanes. In the past, people had done that. People had owned planes and they were there, but it's not current. We had talked to them about the need to recognize that the state has rules about swimming, and that's still open to discussion. There were a lot of people that would come and say, well, historically, we swam there, we loved it, grandma, grandpa, all that. So we're running into a lot of that with the people that own properties that border onto it, even though the state law is clear on that point that it's not allowed in a drinking water source. They also had, interestingly, the people that attended felt that their riparian rights allowed them to have boats still and things of that sort. And again, we still need to work out some details there with them. But they were very adamant about saying that they felt the town should really, I don't know how to phrase this, not crack down, but push the sewer regulations in that area with regard to the on-site disposal systems, which may or may not be functional or may be failing. There was a feeling that the people that were responsible went in, did that after they were inspected, just like we heard earlier tonight. But the people that had problems or that still have problems somehow have managed, perhaps maybe not, to fix their systems. And at least my feeling was from being at the meeting that one of the things they would like to see is actually stricter enforcement on that. And it is possible that some of these systems do leak out things that could contribute to water quality issues. So that's something that apparently the neighbors would be not too objectionable about, but they were very insistent that they wanted to keep their rights to have a boat, to have a dock, things of that sort. So we're trying to wrestle with the idea of perhaps grandfathering in the people that are there, because the scientific evidence that we have from the previous study showed that the small number of larger boats that the residents owned were not a problem. And then if you look at the results that we get from the state, actually from URI, about phosphate levels in the water, they spike up starting in the year that the DEM allowed these big tournaments to occur with lots of these larger boats. So we think we're on the right track with that in trying to limit those things to keep the water quality good, and we may be able and even have some evidence that a few of those boats, i.e. the residential boats, are not the problem, but it's this aggregate of very large boats during these numerous tournaments that cause the issues. The residents did bring up an issue that there was some sort of a lawsuit or a law case that occurred in the late 80s, or actually I think late 90s, I'm sorry, and we were trying to nail down exactly what that was and what it involved, but they claimed that it forbade the town and local agencies to regulate what goes on in the pond. My understanding is that that's not true. The DEM regulations are clear that on Class 2 waters like Stafford Pond that are used for drinking water supplies, that either the state or the municipality may regulate recreational activities that have an impact on the water. It's very clearly stated in the regulations. So that can't be the case, but we just don't know the details of that. I know Mr. Gerlach had asked the town administrator to ask the solicitor to look into that and find out what this case was and what it really meant and what it was about, and we haven't heard back from that yet, but would like to get that information before we meet one more time with the residents so we can discuss it knowledgeably. Let's see, what else? Oh, and then there was an issue that was brought up that there are several high-tech, basically catch basins that are near the pond up in the area along the highway there that passes by it on the eastern side. And they're high-tech, they're designed to catch any spillage from an accident or a truck that's leaking. And the question came up, we don't have an answer to that, whether our first responders, like the fire department or the police, know how to shut those things down so that any hazardous materials or fuel doesn't leak into the pond. So that's something that we have to work on too and get an answer to eventually, because that's one of our major protections, that something happening in the road doesn't contribute chemicals and pollution directly into the pond.
Well,
So
let's ask that question right now. Chief Lloyd?
Are you talking more just on Stafford Pond, or do we want to know about all the drinking water sources?
Well, since we're talking Stafford Pond, let's start with that one.
It's like any incident that we had with hazardous materials. We carry chemicals, we carry pads and such to try to block it as much as possible, but a large source spill, we would not be able to stop.
I guess the question is, these have a special design that allow you to shut them down so you don't drink in the pond. If you guys don't know how to do that now, then we need to make sure that
I'm not aware of that.
they train us on how to do that. Otherwise, the money they put into building that way is kind of wasted.
They've never notified us. I'm not aware of that, Tom, at all, yeah.
So we need to look into that. Thanks, Chief.
And let's see if we got anything else. Okay. I mean, there's still some issues about who owns the water rights and things of that sort, too, and there are some questions about whether it really is legal for Fall River to request payments from Stonebridge in order to use the water, and why don't the residents get it because they own the land under it and all of that. And we don't have an answer to that either because we're still sort of waiting for that to be resolved legally as to who owns the riparian rights there too. But I guess what we have some of the information, but would like to get a little bit more so that we can get back to them and then propose a few things to them that we think probably something along the lines of grandfathering in the boats and the docks that are there, but restricting new ones. Something along that lines is probably what we'll end up recommending finally, but would like to have one more, I call it a public hearing, but really just another meeting with the residents after we've had a chance to research this a little more, probably in January, and then we'll be able to get some final recommendations back to you.
Okay.
And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Tights? There was a request
Yeah,
regarding...
if you want, I mean, I did investigate that, the question that there's this previous lawsuit, and from what I can understand, there never was a court resolution. It was settled to the extent that Fall River does control the water rights in it. But I was never able to find out the question of who, or the answer to the question of who owns the bottom of the land. But Fall River controls the water rights and as far as controlling the dam, because that was part of supplying the mills. And from the people I talked to who were around at the time involved with it, they indicated that they had settled it without ever answering the question of who owned the bottom of it. And in fact, my view on the town's authority was that it didn't really matter whether the town owns it or not. Even if the state owns the bottom of the land, we have concurrent jurisdiction over it with them. We're still able to regulate it as a pond within our water, within our boundaries.
But what about this thought that they had that there was some case like in the 90s or something, a more recent case?
1989,
Or
I
1989, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any evidence there was such a case in?
Yeah, that was the case that basically, it didn't answer the question of who owned the bottom, and it did resolve, it was settled with saying that Fall River controlled the water rights, had the right to set the dam height and control the water coming over the dam. That's
Because
my
some of the residents
understanding.
felt that they should get paid for the water because, you know, and all that, so I don't, yeah.
Well,
But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, I know, but, Andy, wasn't there a similar case, I think in Johnston? Isn't there a pond that the owner drained the pond?
yeah. Well,
Because he owned the ground underneath it, but he didn't own the pond?
no, well, he did what, see, the Messiolella case, he owned the pond, yes,
Yeah.
because it was, he owned the factory that had owned the pond and created it to do it. And he was having a dispute actually over the state of Rhode Island over their launching ramp on the pond. So he lowered the level so their launching ramp wasn't useful. And the court came and basically said that although a private party cannot get adverse possession against the state or the city or town can get adverse possession against a private party. And they said by having that state boat ramp there for 20 years, the state had gained adverse possession over it, the right to use it and the right to launch the boats. They had gained that right by adverse possession, so therefore he couldn't lower it below a level where it would still function.
Yeah, I remember that.
So again, that turned on that narrow issue that I don't really think is relevant here, which is a whole variety of interstate issues as well.
And we're still, our delegation is working on the seaplane issue, trying to get FAA to respond to us. We've never had a response to our initial letter, and Representative Edwards is pursuing that with our federal delegation.
Mr. President, if I could just say a couple words here. First, I'd like to thank the Conservation Commission for leading this effort. As Mr. Romatowski mentioned, it definitely is a dialogue. We're absolutely trying to strike a dialogue, engage not only the residents who own property around the town, but those who get their water from Stafford Pond. I think that the hope is that the turnout for the second public meeting or hearing, or whatever you want to call it, has a lot more people involved, because the reality is that we really want them to have a strong voice in what the long-term management plans of Stafford Pond are. Otherwise, there is a risk that the DEM could come in and just say it has to be so, and that at that point in time, the residents are not going to have a say in it. And we really want to just drive home the fact that when we do have this next meeting, it'll get advertised, we'll really try to spread it by word of mouth, but it'd be really, really important for folks to come on out and get involved and have a word and have a say in not only the pond, but the drinking water as well. So, and Andy, just a heads up, I think it would be beneficial that as these recommendations are coming, that we have the ability to vet them through you, just to make sure that they pass muster and you have an opportunity to weigh in on all of that. So, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Free, thank you.
Okay, Councilors Groveback and Pelletier, update on planning for a local business forum event in partnership with the EDC and approval of funding.
Sure. I'll start. Brett, feel free
go
to
ahead.
chime in here. So if folks remember, we brought this in front of the council back in September. At that point in time, it was the wish of the council that we push out the date until the new year to allow more time for vetting and an adequate amount of promotion and advertising. So Brett and I wanted to come back, give the council an update. There's been a tremendous amount of work done since that September meeting. I'd like to acknowledge the huge amount of legwork done by Susan Gill from the EDC, who has done a lot of the work here to help keep this moving forward. And so just so that folks remember, at least those in the public, that this was a concept that we thought was beneficial to help engage local business owners in helping to create a dialogue around economic development, not only at the local level, but the regional level and the state level as well, under the guise of trying to build bridges with our local business community here. So there is a couple things attached to the backup here, just to kind of walk folks through that. I'd like to start with the Word document that says progress update for the 12-9 council here. So when we met last in September, we had not nailed down a date. We have been able to work with the 3 individuals that we would like to have present at this. Those individuals being Marcel Valois from the Rhode Island EDC, Jody Sullivan from the Newport Chamber, and Scott Humphrey from our local EDC. And based on that, as well as location availability, we have arrived at a date of the event for Tuesday, February 11th, from 6 to 8 p.m. We have a location that is open and willing to house this event, that being the Meeting House over in Four Corners. That location has a 100-person max. We've confirmed the speaker since the last meeting. We have developed advertising and promotion, which is also in the packet, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment. But the only thing that's kind of left open at this time is trying to nail down a local catering company to provide some modest fare for the event. So one of the concerns raised by the council at the meeting in September was how are we going to advertise and promote this. So we have worked with a local resident by the name of Mary Sexton, who owns kind of her own design desktop publishing shop called Good Graphic Design. She has come up with a couple comps of a promotional postcard, which are in front of you as well. The thought on advertising and promotion is to take that postcard and mail it out to up to 500 local businesses in town based on the addresses that we have. We would have a similar promotional poster with the same look and feel as the postcard that we would print and post at high-traffic business locations in town. We'd also have event listings in the local papers, plus letters to the editor, and of course, we would advertise on the town website. The agenda for the event hasn't really changed all that much, aside from confirming the speakers. We would put forth that Brett and I would moderate and facilitate the meeting. Just a suggestion, we can change that. The first part would be presentations for a total of 60 minutes across all three of the aforementioned speakers. We'd have a quick networking break, and then we would have the second part of the forum, which would be what we're thinking is a moderated input session where local business owners can share their ideas, comments, questions. We could have folks from the town available to help answer that, but really be an opportunity to hear straight from local business owners what's on their mind and what we should be focusing on in town. And then we close out and be out of there by 8 o'clock. We'd like to, if approved, target the January 3rd timeframe for mailing out all of the postcards. We would have an RSVP as part of that postcard so that we could track the number of people coming and adjust catering as necessary. And I think if we go to page 2 here, really just want to talk a little bit about the costs and the tentative budget for this. So we have laid out the costs that have been quoted to us. Some are known, one is estimated at this point. Nominal costs for the design, printing, and mailing of the invitational postcard. We have a line item for the design of the promotional poster, plus the line item for the printing of that poster. The fee for the meeting house is a hostess fee for a total of $100. And then really the only variable at this point is the light refreshments. So we've put some estimated numbers here, up to $14 per person. We're hoping to get, if all turns out well, around 75 people for a total estimated cost of the event of $1,521. If the council would still like to move forward, we would like to put forth a request for 50% of that funding to be shared with the EDC, picking up the other half, not to exceed a total expenditure of $800 for the council that we would propose come out of the contingency fund. But Brett, anything to add there?
No, I think you covered it.
Anything from the council?
Yeah, is this actually your number, Brett?
000000000. Yes, actually it is.
That was...
No, that's a placeholder
that's
for the
just
All
EDC's
right, I was tempted to
direct
call
line.
that to see what happens.
The RSVP lines were, we wanted a sort of a low-traffic email address, town official email address, and it just so happened that my town official email address is exceedingly low traffic, so I don't get a lot of activity on it. So it was easy to field RSVPs from there. And then the phone number, we're still trying to nail down the EDC's direct line. I don't know why we don't have it. But
Let's
we
make it
don't.
Nancy's number.
So.
What's your cell phone, Brett?
Yeah, right. It's on the website, actually. So, but we'll just fill that in when we get it. I know it went to directly to a voicemail, but we were talking about having it forwarded to planning. So when we get that, we'll insert it.
Well, actually, you don't have a lot of time, considering that you want to be out mailing by, what, the 13th of January?
January 3rd.
3rd.
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure someone has the number written down, right?
You hope.
well, but I think the issue wasn't out forwarding it to planning. I think that was...
Oh! I don't know where
Yeah.
I don't know where the number goes now.
Yeah. I think right now, I think it just sits there and somebody has to physically go to wherever that phone is and...
I should hope it's at least accessible via voicemail.
Yep. Okay.
Kate, do you know?
Oh, okay, wonderful. Do tell.
I have the phone number too if you need it.
Yes, please.
I think I believe it's 816-0557, I believe. But
I'm sorry, could you slow that down?
816-0557.
the issue is that it does go to a telephone at the community center, and now that my office is not at the community center, it is only accessible by voicemail, and I don't have the passwords or anything for the voicemail, so.
It's probably 123.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
I mean, even if you want to use my number, that's fine, whatever
Which is
works.
what?
It's 625-6718.
That might be best. I mean, I can't imagine you're going to get a flood of phone calls.
Hopefully I do.
Well, no, I'm just, it's over a course of several days and weeks, so. But yes, I hope we do get at least some.
Yep, okay. Okay. Anything from the council?
Now, this meeting house only holds 100 people,
That's correct.
Yeah.
and you're sending it out to 500
That is correct.
businesses?
I think it would be a great problem to have if we needed to move. I think we're being modest in our expectation here. And if we had 75 or 100, local businesses attending and engaged, I think we would deem that a success.
I mean, we went through the list.
Yeah.
Hmm? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in going through the list, there are some that stand out as large, noticeable, recognizable businesses, and a lot of them, are sole proprietors or people operating, accounting services and those sort of personal service type things, which this may not be their cup of tea, so I think we're okay with 100, really, to just having seen the list of 400 or 500 businesses.
Probably for a first forum, it's probably okay.
Yeah. If we're successful here and it turns into, I don't know, semi-annual event or whatever, you know what I mean? It's about creating that bridge, of building a better bridge with the local business community. Not only for us to inform them, but for them to inform us as well.
Just make sure you don't toll it.
No tolls.
No tolls.
Maybe a tip jar.
No cover charge at the door.
Local businesses within that area for sort of parking arrangements. There's a decent amount of parking at the meeting house, especially when the ground is cold. But if, I think Susan's trying to reach out to local businesses that have parking lots that we may be able to.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of them by 6 will be closed.
they'll
Yeah.
they'll
My
be
driveway available for $10.
Yeah, we're gonna
Park.
park in.
Park on your grass.
Jim's
Okay,
front yard.
well, the next question is the...
Funding.
The funding.
Yeah.
Since we are touting this as a town council-sponsored event in conjunction with the Tiverton Economic Development Commission, that means we would need a motion to take this out of council contingency.
I'll make that
It's the
motion.
only money we have.
I'll make that motion. I'll move
Second.
that we can,
We have a motion and a second to split the costs between the town council and the EDC, the town council's portion not to exceed $800 coming from council contingency. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Good job, both of you.
All right.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Nancy, we'll
And,
follow up for a little bit of paperwork with the meeting house.
Most of the thanks goes to Bill and Susan, who've been working on this
Yeah. It's a three-way.
diligently.
Okay, we have no bids and requests for proposals. Town administrator interim items and announcements.
That's you, Nancy.
Oh, you've got two categories.
Town administrator. I just have two announcements. One is for the police chief in conjunction with the United States Marine Corps and Cardi's Furniture. Chief Blakey will be conducting the 11th annual Tiverton Toys for Tots program. The program has benefited hundreds of local families over the past 10 years. The chief is seeking the names and contact information of local families in an effort to make this a happy holiday season for as many children as possible. So anyone who has a name of someone that is in need of additional toys for children at Christmas, they can contact Chief Blakey or myself.
Chief, are you also accepting donations, toys, or is that going somewhere else?
Basically, we've been pretty lucky so far, so I think, who knows how far it will go. But in the past, we've had plenty of toys to go around, and so far we're pretty good. So.
Yeah, if someone would wish to donate?
If I was going to ask for a wish list, it would be something for the older kids. And if someone had some gift cards that we could kind of gear toward the older kids and let them pick their own, like it is usually deals with the younger children's toys, so.
And where would they drop those off, Chief?
Mrs. Mello or police station, contact me, I'll even come to you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
And for the DPW director, he'd like it known that the free holiday rubbish bag program will continue this year. Bags are limited to 2 free non-pay-as-you-throw bags
What's
per
yeah,
household.
Yeah, but what's the date?
It's coming. And will be collected during the week of December 30th through January 4th.
So save up all your stuff,
The
everyone.
DPW 2014 annual calendar for rubbish and recycling will be mailed to all households and post office boxes next week. So they should keep a lookout. It is on hot pink paper. A reminder to the council that tomorrow evening is the Comp Plan Advisory Committee's first meeting here at 7 o'clock. And as you know, I already sent an email around to the council that there was a serious fire in town on Saturday night. Chief Lloyd and I believe almost all the department was out there, as well as surrounding communities' use of their services to either cover the fire department or actually presence at the fire. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay. Council announcements, comments, and questions.
I have one, and Susan, you can help me because I forgot my note that said the details. But I think it's Thursday at 6:30, the EDC is meeting. They're having their monthly meeting, and they have a special speaker, and it's Evan Smith from, it's Discover Newport, right? That's the name of the organization. Will be speaking, and this is for Barbara Pelletier as well. He's going to be speaking about tourism and kind of what's the motivation and where we fall and what's what, and I'm sure a lot of more eloquent things than I've just mumbled out. But for anybody who's interested, it's 6:30 at the community center. Nope, it's going to be here. Oh, okay, it's at Town Hall. At 6 o'clock. Oh, God. So 6 o'clock at the Town Hall. I apologize for not remembering. This Thursday.
Okay. Anyone else?
We might want to just make an announcement that the EDC will begin to have their meetings here at the town
good.
hall as opposed to the community
Community
center.
Center beginning at
Thursday.
Beginning Thursday.
Okay, so beginning Thursday, EDC committee meetings will be held at Town Hall, not at the community center.
I just had a quick question, and it started to get brought up before I had it on my list of things to ask, and wondering if maybe at the January meeting or sometime in January, we can get an update on the industrial park RFP.
That, I believe, will be on the January.
Oh, all right,
I
great,
don't know that there's much to have.
great. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it will be.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Chapman? Mr. Aruda? Mr. Lambert? I have nothing. Okay, Town Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, just not on the agenda, but let me, I have received a text back from Mike Ursillo, and one of us will be able to be here on the 19th.
Good.
So, I want to let you know that. Under K, K1 is LAL Construction. AKA Site Ready versus the town of Tiverton. You have a couple of things there. I haven't hit you with all the paperwork on this one. You've received part of it. The attorney providing defense with this with the interlocal, Mike Sisto, has filed a motion for judgment on the pleadings, and K1A is a notice that's being scheduled for Friday, January 17th at 10 a.m. in courtroom 3 before Judge John McConnell. So we should get some initial resolution. We're hoping to be able to get those federal claims and the damages dismissed at that time. The plaintiffs in the case are still trying to get discovery done, and K1B was a notice for intention to depose Jim Gonslow. But Mr. DeSisto is actually not available that week. He has other items going on that entire week. So we're working to postpone that. There probably will be some depositions of town personnel, perhaps before that January 17th, or at least scheduled for after the January 17th date, if the case is not dismissed at that time.
Okay.
And of course, we still have the Superior Court case.
Do you imagine that we'll get to council and elect other appointed official, planning board, and et cetera? Or is that just going to be?
It might be. I think I mean, since part of their argument is that, and again, I've still never seen anything that supports it, but they claim that they were enticed by us that we would use them as a transfer station as part of the landfill closure. They may, in fact, be deposing members of the Landfill and Recycling Committee as part of that. I don't really expect them probably to deposing other council members, but
Sorry, Jeff.
Mr. Lambert, sorry, you may be on the other side of a deposition.
That'd be interesting.
We'll visit you.
Interesting. Okay.
Any other questions on this item? Item number 2, this is Connor River Bridge tolls litigation, and I apologize that the items are kind of mixed up in order there, but the good news is you can put them back in numerical order yourself and follow it more. If you just put the items there, 60, 60-1, 61, 62, et cetera, you can put it in order. The key thing that I think you might find, or public might find most interesting, and it's costing us the most money, is K2A, which is labeled as Declaration in Support of Plaintiff's Motion for Partial Summary Judgment on Count 1 of the amended complaint. And what this is, the other document there, the motion itself is, I know the council members are familiar with this from the joint meeting with the other 2 town councils, but this is the town of Portsmouth with Bristol and Tiverton joining in, saying that on count 1 of the complaint, that it's too late to impose the tolls. The bridge was complete a year before they imposed the tolls, and it's too late, and the law prohibits that. It's good to remember that the name of this statute is the Freedom from Tolls Act. And the basic rule is if you've got these federally financed highways, they should be free from tolls, except for a series of exceptions. And one of those exceptions is if it's brand new or greatly expanded capacity, and you impose the toll before it's completed. DOT's argument is it's not completed until we say it's completed, until the contract is done. But the Federal Register definitions provide that completion means substantial completion when it's open to traffic. So we believe this is an issue that doesn't involve any facts. There's no dispute as to when it opened to traffic. There's no dispute as to when the tolls went on. It's too late, they missed it, it should be stopped. And this particular K2A includes the report prepared by the experts hired by the towns. Marcus Lennon is a former general counsel to the Federal Highway Administration, and basically talking about the interpretation of the law from his familiarity with FHWA versus how they're taking a different stand now. So I think the public should know that the towns are vigorously fighting still against the tolls. Now, whether we'll get a decision or not is another question, because one of the items in there, K2C, was a notice that this would be heard on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And when I provided that to you for the agenda, I think I got this just on Wednesday or Thursday. That's what I was pleasantly surprised to find that out. But I'm now disappointed to tell you that the judge has since canceled this hearing, and no further date has been scheduled. So I don't know when and if our motions are going to be heard or not. And there's still no word of when he'll hear the motions to intervene of Tiverton and Bristol. But since we've been participating, that doesn't matter. But it'd be nice if we could get to this key legal issue. Even if he's going to rule against us, it would be good to get to it, and then we could take it up on appeal. So that hearing on 12/11 at 2013 at 3 p.m. before Senior Judge Lagur is not happening, and nothing has been scheduled yet. K3 is a proposed ordinance amendment dealing with the municipal court procedures. As you know, we've had a lot of matters that we're vigorously pursuing through the municipal court. And in the course of that, some of these have been appealed to the Superior Court. Excuse me. And it has essentially revealed that there is a split in procedure among the Superior Court clerk's offices in the state of Rhode Island. The northern half of the state, the Kent County Clerk's Office and the Providence and Bristol County Court Clerk's Office, the main, they have one procedure, which is if someone wants to file an appeal, they've got to bring their own separate action. They've got to file a complaint in the court, in the Superior Court, pay the filing fee for an appeal. The southern counties, Washington County and Newport County, do it a different way. And Newport County is where we are, and we're sort of swallowed up. Newport actually has language in its charter, and this is the way they've been doing it for 20 years, and they're a big volume of the business in Newport County. So rather than try to rock the boat, we're trying to instead change our ordinance to make it match what's actually done and make it clear to people how it should be done procedure-wise. That's what we're trying to do here. We're not changing the procedure, we're just trying to make the ordinance match what's being done. Notice of appeal. There are a few other changes. What we are trying to do is there's a record kept, there's an audio record kept of the procedure, but when the appeal is taken to the Superior Court, it's considered a de novo appeal, it's a new appeal. So we're trying to make clear in here that the language, the record of the court, doesn't include that tape. If you want that tape, that's a public record, and we'll be happy to give you a copy of the tape. We'll give you a copy of the audio tape. Whoever wants to use it can pay to have it transcribed, but it's not part of the official record of the court. So we're trying to do that. And then we finally made a couple of other corrections while we were here about making clear that everyday violation exists, making it a separate offense, which is already a propositional law, but at least we're putting people on notice, and take out the specific court costs of $40 and leave what's there at the first part, that it may be set by the town council by resolution. So, I probably going into more detail than I had to at this point, but I wanted to get it going and schedule a public hearing for it on January 27th. Oh, okay, yes, and we've talked to the municipal court judge about this, and he's in concurrence with this as well. And so we just wanted your approval to set this up for a public hearing on the January 27th.
January 27th. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Set the public hearing.
Take one and, yes, pass it around.
This is regarding the, it's labeled as quarry license holders, technically it's the earth removal license. This is a letter, this happens to be one of the letters to the quarry formerly known as Douglas Quarries, placing them on notice of the need to come in and renew and transfer the license, setting forth the requirements. This letter will be going out this week, along with similar letters to the other quarries. I have set a time frame of 4 o'clock Monday, January 27th, which is the date of the town council meeting, so I'll be able to report on that to you at that meeting, who has or has not met the deadline. And I'm working with Kate Michaud about seeing what the schedule is of the planning board in February, so that they can be referred to the planning board. The zoning enforcement officer obviously doesn't need a specific meeting for his review, but the planning board does, so that we could get that back to you in February. And I'm specifically indicating that we have had complaints about the blasting, and they should be prepared to address that, and they should be prepared to address the drinking water concerns. And I'm also trying to contact their attorney as well, their registered agent, who's actually listed in the Secretary of State as someone else, but I've tracked down apparently it's this person, and so that they will have no excuse to say that they haven't been put on notice for this. As I said, so those will be going out this week.
Were we able to verify whether or not this 2001 plans for any of these quarries had been actually conducted?
Yes and no.
Okay.
There's a variety of the quality of the plans.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to pull together in the interim as well.
Right.
And that's why I also want to put them on notice. I mean, they're required to have this. Let's see what they've got as well.
Yeah.
I'll give them an opportunity. If they think they provided us with something that met it, then provide it to us. Show us what you provided.
Yep.
So, and I will tell you that one of the things that I believe we will do at this point is, going forward, any of these approved, we'll record in the land evidence records, the plans, so that we will be able to find them easily going forward, that we and the public will be able to find them going forward in the future. It's a little bit cumbersome, but that way we're sure of it.
Good. Anything else, Mr. Tights?
No, except just correcting a typo on number 5 on the executive session. The first item there for Stonebridge Gas Station has both litigation and acquisition of real property. It's only acquisition of real property. There's no litigation involved in that. I don't want people to think that we're involved in any litigation.
Okay, we'll amend that when we get there. Okay, Town Clerk, your other hat, Mrs. Mello.
I don't know anything. That's it. Nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lambert.
I move that we go into closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Chapter 42, Section 46(5)(a)(5), row acquisition of real property for public purposes, Stonebridge Gas Station.
Second.
We have a motion, second. All those in favor?
And stay in closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Chapter 42, Section 46(5)(a)(4), Ray Investigation, Maintenance Foreman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
And stay in closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Chapter 46, Section 46(5)(a)(2), Ray Litigation, Larry Faulkner versus Town of Tiverton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
And stay in closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Chapter 42, Section 46(5)(a)(2), Ray Litigation, Sandy Woods Homes, Inc. et al. Versus David Robert in his capacity of tax assessor for Town of Tiverton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
And stay in closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Chapter 42, Section 46(5)(a)(2), Ray Litigation based